Chisom was a bright young boy of 17 who lived in a busy part of Port Harcourt city called Bundu. He was handsome and smart, and he loved to laugh and play. Even though his family was not rich, he always kept his hope high. Chisom lived with his mother and his 3 brothers. Emeka was the first, Somto was his younger brother, and Joshua was the last child. Even when times were hard, Chisom believed in God and dreamed of a better future for his family. Every day he went to school at the famous Based Comprehensive College, where many students gathered. Every morning, Chisom's mother would wake him and his brothers early. The sun had not yet shone brightly when they prepared for school. Chisom had a routine that he loved because it helped him stay focused in class. He always wanted to do well so that someday he could change life for his family. His heart was filled with dreams, and the warmth in his eyes showed that he believed every hard day at school would bring hope for tomorrow. Even though he was brilliant and kind, Chisom had never really been in love. That was until he met Queeneth, a senior student who was 2 years older and came from Ikwere local government area in Rivers State. Queeneth had been watching Chisom from afar. With her gentle eyes, she followed his every step through the school gate and admired his bright smile. Queeneth was a very responsible person at school. She was the punctuality prefect and always made sure that everyone was on time. On one special morning, as the early light touched the school gate, Queeneth saw something different. Chisom arrived late. He looked worried, and Queeneth, who always cared about every student's well-being, decided to speak to him. When Chisom reached the gate, his friends were already busy kneeling down to start the morning devotion. Confused but curious, he followed Queeneth as she walked away from the group. She led him to her classroom, where no one else was watching, and asked him to sweep the floor. Even though Chisom did not understand the sudden request, he complied quietly. He thought, "Why does she want me to do something unusual?" Meanwhile, one of her friends, Joy, had been looking on from a distance. Joy was known to be cheerful and kind, and she often joined Chisom in friendly games during break time. Queeneth had a secret. She had fallen in love with Chisom even before he knew anything about her feelings. She was shy because she was older and did not want anyone to talk about her secret love. When she asked him to sweep, it was her way of giving him special attention, a message meant only for his eyes. Even though Chisom was confused, he politely obeyed her request without any resistance, not suspecting that this small task was filled with deep meaning. In the days that followed, Queeneth began to notice something in Chisom. Although he remained dedicated to his studies and his family, he sometimes arrived a little later when small events happened at home. Every time that happened, Queeneth was there, patiently telling him to hurry inside the school. At first, Chisom thought of it as a small joke, a playful pat on his back urging him to be better. He even pretended to be late sometimes to see if Queeneth would truly care. But no matter how much he teased her, Queeneth's gentle voice reminded him to come early so that he would not miss his precious time with learning. Among the many friends at school was Joy. Joy was a senior student too, and she was known for her kind heart. One day, Joy watched closely as Queeneth gave special attention to Chisom. When Joy finally saw how Queeneth made him do extra work and how she always smiled at him, she decided to speak up. "Queeneth," Joy said softly one morning, "I think you should tell him how you feel. There is nothing wrong with loving someone, even if they are younger." Queeneth was surprised by Joy's words. Deep down, Queeneth loved Chisom very much, but she felt very shy and thought that her feelings were a secret that must be hidden forever. Joy's words made Queeneth feel a little better, but she still kept her feelings hidden. Even though Joy liked Chisom as a friend, there was a gentle warmth between Joy and him that was different from the secret love that Queeneth harbored. Their friendship was pure and bright, like the sun shining after a rainy day. One Friday after school, a new chapter began. Queeneth had been thinking about her feelings for a long time. With her heart pounding, she found the courage to invite Chisom to her classroom. That afternoon, after the final bell rang, Chisom, who had always been curious about the gentle teacher-like care Queeneth gave him, went to see her. "Chisom," Queeneth began in a soft voice, "I want to ask you something. Do you have a boyfriend?" she asked hesitantly. Chisom, surprised by the sudden question, replied with a simple, "No." He had not thought of himself as a boyfriend before. His mind was busy with dreams of a better future for his family, and love had always been a slow, quiet feeling for him. Queeneth took a deep breath and, with a smile that was half shyness, she asked him out. "Would you go out with me today?" she asked, her eyes sparkling like stars. Without any hesitation, Chisom accepted. He knew in his heart that this small step might change the course of his life. And so, on that important day, Queeneth lightly kissed him, a tender peck on his carved, soft lips that made him feel both happy and confused. From that day on, a gentle romance began to bloom between Chisom and Queeneth. Every time they met at school, whispers of their secret together filled the corridors. The other seniors talked about them quietly, and even the teachers noticed that something special was unfolding. But the happiness of a new romance was not without its trials. Joy, who had always supported Chisom and was a good friend to him, noticed that Queeneth sometimes acted strange. Queeneth would be kind one moment and then appear distant the next. Joy was confused because she liked spending time with Chisom, and yet she saw a growing space between them, filled with silent tension. Joy also noticed another figure, Raphael. Raphael was one of the students who liked Joy very much, but Joy did not share the same feelings for him. Still, Raphael could not understand why Joy stayed so close to Chisom when Queeneth was around. One sunny day during break time, Raphael approached Chisom near the sports field. "Chisom," he asked rather directly, "are you sure you are happy with Queeneth? I see you and Joy playing together a lot. Are you not interested in Joy?" Chisom stopped and thought for a moment. "No, Raphael," he answered calmly, "Joy is just my friend. I like Queeneth." Raphael frowned, his heart full of envy and confusion. He could not let go of the thought that maybe things could be different. Despite Raphael's questions, Chisom's heart stayed loyal to Queeneth, and for a while, their school life was filled with both humor and whispers of secret affection. Queeneth would sometimes buy food for Chisom during break, and Chisom would giggle when she teased him about being a little slow. Their meetings became the talk of the school, a mix of laughter and little dramatic moments that painted each day with vivid colors of young love. One bright day, Queeneth invited Chisom to her house after school. It was an invitation that made his heart flutter with nervousness and excitement. When he arrived, he was welcomed warmly by Queeneth and even by her kind-hearted sister, Josephine. Josephine always had a smile and even liked the idea that her sister Queeneth had a boyfriend who was smart and caring. The house, though not as grand as some, felt safe and full of simple joys. Queeneth had planned a special day for them. She whispered excitedly, "Today, I want to show you something very important." But as the day went on, Chisom began to notice little oddities. There was a quiet hush in the house, as if everyone held their breath waiting for a secret to unfold. At one point, when Queeneth led him to a quiet room, things took a sudden twist. In the room, with soft light coming through a small window, Queeneth began to hold Chisom close. She took off her outer clothes in a rush and gently tried to pull his clothes away. Chisom, still young and pure, felt confused. He had never kissed or been close with anyone like this before. His heart pounded, he was afraid. He simply enjoyed sweet kisses, and he was not ready for more. With trembling hands, Chisom whispered, "Please, Queeneth, I am not ready." But Queeneth, caught in her own longing, begged him softly, saying kind but firm words. She told him that their love should not wait, that she wanted to show him her love all at once. Yet, deep inside, Chisom feared that if things went too fast, they might hurt him in ways he did not understand. He remembered the prayers he made for his family and his dreams, and he knew he must be careful. While this delicate moment unfolded, an unexpected noise rang out through the house. Suddenly, Josephine came running in, shouting, "Daddy is back!" In a flash, Chisom and Queeneth jumped up in fright. There was panic in the air. Queeneth quickly told him, "Hide. Pretend you are here to borrow Josephine's test books, and do not speak too much." Chisom's heart fluttered as he looked at Queeneth with wide eyes. Their world seemed to spin out of control as the heavy footsteps approached the room. The door creaked open and a huge man entered. He was Queeneth's father, a strong, formidable figure with a stern look. In his hand, he held what seemed to be a cutlass that shone in the dim light under the chair. The cutlass made Chisom shiver with fear. It felt like the end of the world was coming. The father's voice thundered, "Who are you and why are you here?" In that moment, Chisom, with his trembling voice, said, "I am Josephine's classmate. I came to borrow her test book." His words were barely audible, and the silence that followed was as heavy as the dark night outside. The man's eyes narrowed, and after a long pause, he said, "All right, but remember what you have been told." With a final look, he left the room. Queeneth and Chisom, still shaking, rushed out to the dim parlor of the house. Outside, the room was dark, and the weight of the situation hung in the air like a thick fog. Queeneth's eyes were filled with regret and fear now. She had wanted the moment to be sweet and full of love, but instead, it had turned into a scene of terror and embarrassment. That evening, as the light returned to normal in the house, the day's events had left a deep mark on both of them. Chisom, feeling both scared and sad, began to think about what had happened. For Queeneth, the event shook her confidence and made her wonder if she had rushed things too quickly. The next day at school, things were not quite the same. The secret of that day hung between them like a silent shadow. Queeneth, who usually smiled and laughed at every meeting with Chisom, started to avoid him. She became distant, and the warm glow of their romance began to fade. Rumors quickly spread among the students. Some said that Queeneth had moved on and was now seeing someone else. Others whispered that she had only used Chisom for her own delight. Amid all the swirling rumors and mixed emotions, Joy continued to stand by Chisom. She was always there to share a kind word, to laugh together during break time, and to remind him of the importance of being true to himself. Their friendship grew, and slowly, a gentle attraction began to bloom between them. Joy was always thoughtful, always gentle, and she had a way of making Chisom feel at ease when he was troubled. Raphael, who had once been angry and jealous, now watched everything with a pensive heart. He saw how the closeness between Chisom and Joy grew stronger after Queeneth started to keep her distance. Raphael, who had lost his temper several times before, began to wonder if he too could change, if he could learn to be gentle like Joy. One day, during a big inter-house sports competition at school, Chisom was chosen to be part of the team that would represent his house. He ran fast, kicked the ball with such skill, and made brilliant plays on the field. That day, his team won first place, while Queeneth's house came in last. The victory made Chisom's heart swell with pride, but it also brought back memories of the old days when things were not so clear. After the game, Chisom and Joy sat together under the shade of a big tree. They talked about dreams, hopes, and even sadness. Joy said, "Chisom, I know you still care about Queeneth, but I want you to be happy. I believe that sometimes, when things go wrong, they can lead us to something better." Chisom listened carefully. He thought of his family, his hopes, and the silent ways in which Joy had always been there for him. Even though he once believed that his heart belonged only to Queeneth, Chisom began to see that love could be kind and respectful. Slowly, his friendship with Joy grew into a caring affection that was gentle and deep. It was not loud or flashy, but it was honest, like a quiet morning light that softly fills a room. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Life at Based Comprehensive College continued with its usual mix of laughter, struggles, and surprises. Yet, the little drama of love and friendship was unfolding among the students. Queeneth, who had once been so bold in asking Chisom out, now felt trapped by her own choices. Her decision to chase a quick, intense love had left her with mixed feelings. Deep inside, she knew that Chisom was changing, that he was beginning to see the value of steady care and kindness, qualities that Joy had given him in abundance. One rainy afternoon, when the sound of raindrops filled the school corridors, Queeneth's secret was almost revealed to everyone. She was sitting alone on a bench under a small awning, her eyes wet with regret. Joy came by and gently sat beside her. "Queeneth, why do you look so sad?" Joy asked softly. Queeneth sighed and whispered, "I wanted to be loved quickly. I wanted someone to feel me, to know me, and I made a mistake by rushing." Tears filled her eyes as she admitted, "I thought I needed to change Chisom and his life, but I hurt him and I hurt myself." Joy listened with a kind heart, knowing that sometimes the heaviest lessons were learned when things did not go as planned. In that tender moment, the bond between Joy and Queeneth grew stronger, not as lovers, but as friends who understood the meaning of forgiveness and the beauty of learning from one's mistakes. They both hoped that in time, the pain would heal and that the paths they chose would lead them to a better tomorrow. At the same time, Raphael began to watch the world around him with new eyes. Seeing the transformation in Chisom and Joy filled him with remorse for his earlier anger. He slowly changed his ways, learning that love was not something to be forced or stolen. Raphael found peace in being true to himself and in giving others space to love quietly and honestly. Chisom, through all the ups and downs, never forgot his promise to himself and his family. His days of early morning prayers, his hope for a better future, and the dreams of turning his family's luck around continued to guide him even when school life grew complicated. His mother worked hard every day, and his brothers looked up to him for strength and courage. Emeka, the eldest, helped with small errands. Samto, the playful one, always made everyone laugh, and little Joshua was full of energy and dreams of his own. There were times when Chisom missed the simpler days of his childhood. He thought of the early mornings when his mother's gentle call woke him up, the quiet moments of studying under the glow of a small lamp, and the warm smiles of those who believed in him. These memories gave him strength when he felt unsure of his path. His family's love, though they had little in money, was rich with care and dreams. They promised one another that no matter how tough life became, their bond would keep them strong. One evening, after another long day at school, Chisom sat by the window in his modest home and listened to the crickets chirp outside. He prayed quietly, asking for guidance and clarity. He thought about his experiences, the confusing love with Queeneth, the comforting affection of Joy, and even the strong stares of Raphael. In his heart, he knew that every moment, whether happy or sad, was teaching him the ways of life. And he believed firmly that the best was yet to come. Time moved on, and soon the school year came to an end. The summer break was a time of reflection and hope. Chisom began to see that the lessons he learned in love and friendship were much like the lessons he learned in class. Every mistake became an opportunity to grow. Through hardships and tears, he found joy in the small victories, and the promise of a bright future always shone like a lighthouse in the dark. Chisom's growing bond with Joy was undeniable. Their friendship blossomed from shared laughter in the school corridors and playful moments on the playground. Every day, Joy made sure to cheer him up with a kind word or a gentle joke. "You are like a bright star," she would say, "and even on the cloudy days, you light up the sky." Chisom was moved by her words, and every time he heard them, he felt as if his heart grew a little warmer. One day, during a family celebration at school, the day when every class would perform a small play, Chisom and Joy were chosen to act together in a play about hope and change. On stage, under the bright lights, they shared smiles that turned into moments of true connection. The audience saw not two people merely acting, but two hearts that had learned the value of understanding and respect. In that performance, it was clear to everyone that they belonged together, even though the journey had not been easy. After the school year ended, both Chisom and Joy prepared for a new journey, the journey of growing up. They were not perfect, and they had made mistakes along the way, but they had learned the importance of honesty, kindness, and true love. Their story was like a long road with hills and valleys, where every step was filled with moments that made them stronger. For Queeneth, life took a different turn. Her love, which was once wild and impulsive, had changed. After the dramatic events at her home and the painful realization that she had hurt someone she cared for, she chose to follow a quieter path. Queeneth fell into a deep sadness for a while, but as time passed, she learned to forgive herself. She became a devoted mother after she got pregnant and soon gave birth to 2 little children. Even though she stayed with her father, her life was full of challenges and responsibilities that made her grow stronger and wiser. Over the years, Queeneth learned that sometimes the choices we make in haste leave a mark on our hearts, but that mark can later lead to growth and the wisdom to make better choices. Raphael, who had once tried hard to come between the closeness of Chisom and Joy, began to understand that his love was misguided. Watching Chisom and Joy build their bond with such care, he decided to work on himself. Raphael slowly turned his anger into compassion, learning the value of friendship over jealousy. His transformation was a quiet reminder that sometimes people can change for the better if they look inside their heart. As months turned into years, Chisom and Joy continued to build their future step by step. They still visited Based Comprehensive College as friends and later as teachers to help guide younger students. They taught lessons of hope and perseverance, telling stories about how dreams are made of little moments, like the sound of a school bell, the glow of a shared smile, and the heartbeats of first loves and true friendships. Chisom often remembered the days when he was confused by Queeneth's mixed feelings. It made him think about how delicate the human heart could be. He realized that love was not just a moment of sweet kisses or passionate words. Love was a daily promise. A promise to care for one another, to be kind even when things went wrong, and to always hold on to hope even when the world felt heavy. In the quiet moments of the night, when Chisom would sit under the open sky and watch the stars twinkle, he remembered the promises he had made to his family. He remembered the laughter of his brothers and the soft, comforting voice of his mother urging him to work hard. It was in those moments that he felt the deep connection to his roots, a feeling that no matter how far his journey took him, his heart would always be tied to the love of his family. One bright morning, a few years after all the twists and turns of their school life, Chisom and Joy decided to join their families together in a simple, joyous ceremony. The day was filled with bright smiles, dancing, music, and a promise that no matter what happened, love would always win in the end. At the ceremony, as friends and family gathered beneath a big tree decorated with colorful ribbons and handmade crafts, Chisom took Joy's hand. With trembling sincerity in his voice, he said, "I promise to love you every day, to care for you in good times and bad, and to always remember the lessons of our past." Joy, with eyes shining like tiny stars, replied, "I promise to stand by you, to laugh with you in the sunny days, and to hold you in my heart through the rainy days." The crowd cheered, and even though Queeneth, Raphael, and Josephine were there, each had found their own way of healing. Queeneth, who had learned the lesson of listening to her heart slowly, smiled gently in the corner as she watched the love that Chisom and Joy shared. Josephine happily clapped her hands as she saw how love had come full circle. Raphael, whose eyes once burned with jealousy, now filled with contentment, knew that his transformation had made him a better person. That ceremony was more than just a happy moment. It was the beginning of a new life. Chisom and Joy continued to help others with the lessons they had learned. They visited schools, shared stories of hope and forgiveness, and even organized sports events where every child could feel the joy of running free and laughing at simple jokes. Their life became a beautiful tapestry of memories, struggles, comedies, and small triumphs that reminded everyone that love could mend broken hearts and build brighter futures. The tale of Chisom, Joy, Queeneth, and their friends soon spread throughout Port Harcourt City. People began to see that even in a place like Boondu, where life was sometimes hard, every day offered a little bit of magic. Teachers told the story of a punctual boy who never gave up, of a girl who learned that love comes in many forms, and of friends who turned troubles into lessons. In every corner of the community, people remembered how simple acts of kindness, like sweeping a school hall or offering a caring smile, could change someone's day. Chisom's family, too, felt the ripple of his gentle heart. Emeka, Samto, and Joshua watched as their big brother grew up to be a man who cared deeply for others and never forgot the promise he made to his mother. His success in life was not marked by great riches, but by the warmth he spread in every act, by the way he made his little brothers dream big even when the world told them otherwise. Every evening, when the family gathered around a small table for a humble meal, stories of love, courage, and quiet defiance filled the room. They laughed at remembered jokes and promised silently that as long as they had each other, nothing could break their bond. Though the earlier days brought many challenges and moments of fear, Chisom grew more confident with time. One particular memory always stayed with him. On the day that the cutlass had been discovered under a chair, when his heart pounded like a frightened bird, he had learned that some moments in life would challenge him in ways he never expected. That frightening moment had helped him to see that even when danger and uncertainty appeared, the truth and goodness inside him would always guide him back home. Queeneth, too, took time to mend her broken pieces. She became a kind and careful mother, devoted to her two little ones. Even though her love for Chisom had not lasted, she learned to love herself more gently. Her mistakes became lessons that helped her guide her children, and she slowly transformed her life into one of compassion and understanding. The story of her single, sober nights and fearful encounters eventually turned into a tale of growth, a reminder that true strength comes from knowing when to change one's path and make amends. Raphael's heart softened further each day as he saw the joy that filled the lives of those around him. No longer did he chase after anger or envy. He found satisfaction in small acts of help, from carrying a bag of books for a friend to cheering from the sidelines during a sports match. His transformation was a quiet victory, echoing the simple truth that when you learn to care instead of compete, life becomes much brighter. In time, the stories of all these characters mingled into the history of a small community where each day was a lesson in growing up. Chisom's promise to change his family's situation came true, not because of grand riches, but because he never stopped believing in the magic of small acts of kindness, discipline, and love. He became a teacher, returning to Based Comprehensive College to inspire young hearts with his life story. His eyes shone with hope as he told his students that life was full of twists and turns, but that every mistake was simply a stepping stone to success. Joy, always by his side, became a trusted friend and partner. Together, they were known for their gentle humor, caring words, and genuine compassion. Their love, which was built on careful understanding and mutual respect, promised that nothing would break their bond. They shared dreams of opening a small school in Bundu, a place where every child, no matter how small their dream, could learn, laugh, and grow with hope in their hearts. Even Queeneth, living quietly with her children in her father's house, found her own kind of happiness. Though her youthful dreams had led her down a complicated path, she used her lessons to become a better mother and a wiser friend. And Josephine, with her contagious energy, became a beacon of hope among the younger children, teaching them that even the darkest moments can lead to a new sunrise. Raphael, having learned the true meaning of friendship and care, slowly built a life centered around helping others. He became known for his warm laugh and his willingness to lend a hand when it was needed most. His life was a quiet testimony to the power of change, showing everyone that even a hardened heart can soften when touched by true kindness. In that little corner of Port Harcourt City, life went on with its ups and downs. There were moments of laughter and moments of tears, days of celebration and nights of quiet reflection. But each day, Chisom's story and the stories of his friends reminded everyone that love, whether it comes in the form of a gentle smile, a kind word, or a quiet support, is the true magic that binds us all. Many years later, as Chisom and Joy sat on the porch of the small school they had built, they watched children run and play under a big old tree. Every child had a story of hope, a dream, of a better tomorrow, and a heart ready to learn. Chisom remembered the long journey that led him here, the moments of fear, the bittersweet kisses, and even the harsh lessons learned on a fateful day at Queeneth's house. He saw that every step, however painful, had been a lesson in caring, forgiveness, and resilience. Joy squeezed his hand gently. "Look at them," she said. "Each child is a promise of a better future. They will learn from our story that life is about slow-growing love and the gentle strength of hope." Chisom nodded, feeling that deep truth in every beat of his heart. Their lives had been full of twists and turns, of errors and corrections, and of hearts that had learned to mend with time. Chisom's journey, filled with laughter, gentle humor, small tragedies, and grand celebrations, was a reminder that the simple acts of caring for one another make life beautiful. He knew that as long as he and his loved ones kept the flame of hope burning, nothing in this world could ever truly dim the light of love. And so, amid the cheerful play of children, the hum of busy days, and the quiet whispers of old memories, the story of Chisom, Joy, Queeneth, Raphael, Josephine, and the many others whose lives had touched his remained a living legend in Bundu. It was a story told in simple words but with a truth so deep that every listener, young and old, believed that even the smallest heart could change the world. The tale of these characters was not just about youthful love and schoolyard dramas. It was also about family bonds, the importance of forgiveness, and the strength that comes from learning from one's missteps. It was about the belief that every setback carries with it a chance to be better and that true happiness comes not from the grand gestures of romance alone, but from the everyday acts of kindness that light our days. Chisom's story taught that even on the darkest days, one should not give up. His determination in helping his family, his gentle understanding of love, and his quiet strength in the face of danger made him a hero in the eyes of many. And while many of his decisions were made in the pressure of youth, time had shown that every heartbreak, every mistake, was simply a stepping stone to a happier future. As the days passed and the seasons changed, the legend of that small boy from Bundu who grew up to change his family's fate became a source of hope for everyone in Port Harcourt City. Teachers told his story to young students as a reminder that true love is patient, that mistakes are part of life, and that the courage to change one's path is the greatest strength of all. In every classroom, in every home, and in every heart that longed for a better tomorrow, the story of Chisom lived on. It was a tale that made the listeners smile, sometimes cry, and always believe that love, even when complicated by drama, humor, and moments of deep sorrow, could lead to a life filled with peace and joy. And so, on that day and every day after, as the school bell rang and children ran laughing through the corridors, the bright, joyful legacy of a young boy who never gave up remained a warm flame in the hearts of many. His life, with all its suspense and tender moments, served as a timeless reminder that every tear and every smile is part of the beautiful journey called life.